Imagine waking up to flames so massive they could be seen from space. In just 4 days, an entire city was reduced to ashes. But here's the shocking truth. The Great Fire of London wasn't just a disaster. It was a turning point that changed history forever. And what really caused it? You won't believe what we found out. Most people don't know the full story. What really started the fire? Why did it spread so fast? And how did it lead to one of the biggest cover-ups in history? Let's dive in. To understand the Great Fire, we need to go back to what London was like in the 1600s. Picture this: a city crammed with over 500,000 people, living in houses made mostly of wood and straw. The streets were so narrow, you could literally reach out and touch the building across from you. There were no fire departments, no fire hydrants, and no real plan for dealing with disasters. It was a ticking time bomb. And then, there was the weather. The summer of 1666 had been unusually hot and dry. The city was like a tinderbox, just waiting for a spark. And that spark came from a place no one expected, a small bakery on Pudding Lane. But was it really just an accident? Or was there something more sinister at play? Let's break it down. On the night of September 2nd, 1666, Thomas Farriner, the king's baker, closed up shop and went to bed. But sometime after midnight, a fire broke out in his bakery. At first, it seemed like a small, manageable blaze, but within hours, it was out of control. Why? Because of 3 key factors. 1. The wind. A strong easterly wind fanned the flames, turning small fires into raging infernos. 2. The buildings. Wooden houses, packed tightly together, acted like kindling. 3. The response. There was no organized firefighting system. People tried to stop the fire with buckets of water, but it was like trying to put out a forest fire with a garden hose. But here's where it gets interesting. Some people believed the fire wasn't an accident at all. They thought it was arson, or even a plot by foreign enemies. So what's the truth? Let's dig deeper. By the morning of September the 3rd, the fire had already destroyed over 300 houses. Panic was spreading faster than the flames. People were grabbing whatever they could carry and fleeing for their lives. But the fire wasn't just destroying homes. It was wiping out entire neighborhoods. The fire jumped from street to street, fueled by the wind and the flammable materials used in construction. It even crossed the River Thames, thanks to the wooden London Bridge, which was lined with houses and shops. The city's leaders were desperate. They tried to create fire breaks by demolishing buildings, but the fire was moving too fast. And then, something unexpected happened. St. Paul's Cathedral, one of the most iconic buildings in London, caught fire. The heat was so intense the stones exploded. It was a symbol of the city's power and faith. And now, it was gone. But here's the twist. While the fire was destroying the city, it was also exposing some shocking truths about how London was run. Corruption, poor planning, and a lack of preparedness all played a role in the disaster. And when the fire was finally over, people started asking questions. Who was really to blame? And why did it take so long to stop the fire? After 4 days, the fire finally burned itself out. The damage was unimaginable. Over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and countless businesses were destroyed. Around 70,000 people were left homeless. The city looked like a war zone. But out of the ashes, something new began to emerge. The fire led to major changes in how London was built and managed. New laws required buildings to be made of brick and stone, and streets were widened to prevent future fires. The first fire insurance companies were created, and the idea of a professional firefighting service was born. However, not everyone was happy about these changes. Some people blamed the fire on foreigners, leading to riots and attacks on immigrant communities. Others accused the government of using the fire as an excuse to push through unpopular reforms. And then, there's the mystery of what really caused the fire. While Thomas Farriner's bakery is often blamed, some historians believe there's more to the story. Could it have been arson? Or even a deliberate act of sabotage? The truth may never be known, but one thing's for sure. The Great Fire of London was a turning point in history. So, what's the legacy of the Great Fire of London? It wasn't just a disaster. It was a wake-up call. It forced the city to rethink how it was built and managed, leading